Is your goal to get an A grade in the topic integers? In my years as a math teacher, the best strategy is to work through and complete challenge questions in your study. In this video, I'll explain how I attempt 3 different challenge questions so that you can feel more confident answering these in your exam. I'll be picking questions from any lesson in the integer topic. Before watching this video, please check to know if you know all the skills from the following lessons. If you need to revise any knowledge, I'll leave a link to my integer playlist in the description. Let's jump into it. I'll be using the RISEN problem-solving acronym to help solve these questions. Example 1. Each blue dot on the number line represents a value. Is the sum of the values that each dot represents greater or less than 0? We will need the skills of integers and fractions for this question. Now to summarize and set up the question, essentially if we add the total value of the left-hand side and add it to the total value of the right-hand side, if the answer is positive, then all the dots will be greater than 0. If the answer is negative, then all the dots will be less than 0. We can't complete calculations without the use of numbers. However, we can approximate the value of each dot from our knowledge of fractions. Starting with the left-hand side dots. The scale is from 0 to -1000. If we break the left-hand side into quarters, we can then estimate. Starting with this dot, it's a little past 3/4. So a number between -750 and -1000. Let's say -850. These 3 dots are in the first quarter, between 0 and -250. Let's say -250, -150, and -50. Now looking at the right hand side, again breaking the section into quarters. Both dots are in the final quarter, so between 750 to 1000. Let's say 900 and 950. Now that we have values for each of our dots, we can evaluate and calculate what each side equals. Calculating the left-hand side, this equals -1300. Calculating the right-hand side, this equals 1850. Now we add both results to see if the total of the dots answer is positive or negative. Adding -1300 plus 1850, this equals 550. Therefore, the total of the dots is greater than 0. To check our answer, we can redo the question with different approximations and see if we get the same answer. Example 2. A test has 50 questions with 1 correct answer for each question. 5 marks are awarded for each correct answer and -3 marks for each incorrect answer. One student answered 12 incorrectly and the rest correctly. How many marks did they receive? This is from the topic integers. Now let's summarize the important information. First, let's figure out exactly how many they got correct and incorrect. They got 12 incorrect. This was stated in the question. And we need to figure out how many they got correct. We can use a diagram to help. If there were a total of 50 questions, we consider 12 were answered incorrectly, so the remaining number of questions from 12 to 50, this equals the number of questions they answered correctly. Or in other words, the difference of 50 and 12, which is 38. Now to set up the question. Firstly, considering the incorrect answers, this is 12 groups of -3. Then we add the correct answers marks. 38 groups of 5 marks. Remember, multiplication is used when we collect groups of the same number. Next, to evaluate, first completing the multiplication before addition. 12 times -3, well, when you multiply a positive by a negative, you get a negative answer. Then 12 times 3, giving us an answer of -36. Then 38 times 5, this equals 190. Finally, -36 plus 190, This equals 154. Now to check our answer, there's no way to know exactly. However, we can see that our answer should be a large positive number since that they got more correct answers right than incorrect. Example 3. Use the following 4 integers to create an equation with the answer of 34. You can use each integer only once. For this question, there may be multiple answers. Comment below if you find another answer that is different from mine. This is from the topic integers. Let's summarize key information and set up the question. 2 important things to note. The result has to be 34, and that we can only use each integer only once. To answer this question, it really is a little bit of trial and error. First, try and think about possible combinations. For instance, 4 plus 40. This equals 44. Is this helpful? We have negative 25 and negative 1 remaining. It looks like we can't get to 34. Let's try our second attempt. We can try 40 divided by 4 instead. This equals positive 10. Next, we need to continue moving up the number line, but we only have negative numbers left. Remember, if we subtract negative numbers, this acts as an addition question. So let's subtract negative 25, giving us 35. Awesome, we're very close. We need to go down the number line by 1. So let's add negative 1. Remember, when you add a negative number, this acts as a subtraction question. Finally, we can merge the last 2 steps together. We can evaluate and check the answer at the same time. Complete division first. 40 divided by 4 equals 10. Next, 10 minus negative 25. This equals positive 35. Finally, 35 plus negative 1 equals 34. You now know how to answer A-grade questions. However, do you know all the skills of the topic algebra? Watch this next video to learn all the skills needed for the first lesson.